Today, we're going to be looking at tactical recognition prime decision making, RPD. What we're looking at here is three different decision making styles. And what separates out the decision making styles is how much stress the individual is under and the number of options that time permits them to be able to consider. On the far left, when we look at analytical decision making, that's a situation we're not under any kind of threat. It's best done under planning phases, low stress. This really gives us an option to not only consider many options, but also to think through all the different options to come up with the best available plan by thinking through the different permeations, what's possible. Once we get to the middle, deliberate recognition, prime decision making, now we're starting to have some stress involved. Time is starting to get a little bit short, and we have to take some immediate action. However, with deliberate recognition, prime decision making, you do have enough time to consider more than one option. This is where time, distance, and cover comes in. If we're effectively using those three strategies, time, distance, and cover, that can give us the time that we need to consider more than one option. Now we're going to get to tactical recognition, prime decision making, RPD. Many times it's not practical to use time, distance, and cover. We have an immediate threat. The officer is right in front of whatever that threat is, and they have to take immediate action under high to very high levels of stress, and really only enough time to consider one option. The keys to this: no discretionary time available, used to execute in or used in the execution phase, high stress, real time, compressed situation. They have to take immediate action. Now, the key to this one is to recognize it's not the very best decision that happens. It's the decision that the officer, the deputy, chooses at the time that they feel is the most effective to resolve the situation. Later on, we can look at it and say, hey, what would have been the better decision? And it's easy to analyze and decide that. But in a tactical situation, we frequently don't have any advanced warning that something's about to happen. And now our officer has to take action. This is what it looks like on a chart. We experience the situation. Is this something we've experienced before? Do we have some type of instances where we've been involved in it? Pattern recognition. So we start to use that pattern recognition to make some very quick decisions on what or how we're going to handle it based on our past experience, and then we implement our course of action. So rather than talk about it, let's take a look at three different situations. In the first situation here, we're going to have a trooper that's on a car stop. The trooper is going to be talking to either the driver or the passenger through the passenger window. And we got a vehicle that's going to be coming around the bend, 100, 115 miles an hour initially when the vehicle loses control. Let's watch and see what happens. And then let's see what the trooper's action is that they choose to resolve the situation. So in this case, our officer chooses to run back toward his patrol car, and he survives the situation. Now, if we were to stop and think about it, the best course of action would have been to get over the rail. That would have provided the maximum amount of protection. Very difficult to implement under these situations or under this situation. We see the vehicle coming, and our officer activates his action plan, which is to get out of the way, and he survives it in this case and looks to be relatively uninjured. So we can call that a successful application of tactical recognition prime decision making. So let's watch this one. In this case, we have an officer on the range. In this case, the local police department has set up a dummy on a remote controlled car, and the dummy is a knife wielding suspect, and they're asking our officer to take some course of action.
All right, going headshot with the rifle, sensor on the post. And we're running. Sir, drop the knife! Drop the knife! Oh, transition. That was fast.
So in this case, our officer has a malfunction and makes the decision to clear the malfunction and take on the suspect. In the background, you can hear somebody yell transition. And really that would have been the best decision, would be to immediately transition to handgun and come up and shoot, because we know that should be 100% successful if we do that. In this case, though, our officer chooses to clear the weapons malfunction, and he's able to implement that effectively and take out the suspect in the time allowed. Now, this is our third example. Let's take a look at this. This takes place in Palestine, Texas. They are working a beer theft case. They track down the suspect to a local Applebee's and they make contact. They bring the suspect out to the front of the store, and that's where the action starts. So our subject is going to be walking out, and he's going to draw out what the officers perceive to be a gun. It turns out to be, it's a BB gun, but they can't know that at the time. And the sergeant grabs the subject, throws it. Now, Officer Griffin in this case yells gun, 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 but instead you're going to see that she draws taser, quickly realizes that it's the wrong tool, discards the taser, and brings the handgun up very quickly and engages. So we'll watch this 2 different times. The first time we'll watch it in full speed. The second time I'm going to slow the taser part of it down to about 1/10 of a second, so you can get a chance to see the actions that she takes. So let's watch it again. This time it'll slow down at the point where she draws taser. So Officer Griffin very quickly determines that she's drawn taser. She discards taser, brings handgun up, and engages very quickly. We frequently see just the opposite happen in other officer-involved situations where they yell taser, 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 and instead draw their handgun. Tactical recognition prime decision-making occurs very, very rapidly. The more experience the officer has, the more training the officer has, the better and quicker they can activate that action program. But at the end of the day, the best part is to understand, or the most important part to understand in this, is tactical recognition prime decision making. When we make these decisions in very compressed time periods, it's not the perfect decision. It's not always even the right answer. It's the first one that comes to mind as what the officer implements. And that's what we see in these cases.